Okay, so for this, we're going to do writing quadratic equations from points. So this first problem is when the problem gives you 3 random points. So our random points are 0, 5, 2, 1, and 1, 2. So the first thing you want to do is, what I like to do at least, is look at the y values, 5, 1, and 2. And so your form is going to be standard form, so it's going to be y equals ax squared times bx squared plus, or not squared, times bx, or plus bx plus c. So I like to write out all my y values first, so I would write 5 equals, and then I would write 1 equals, because you have 5, 1, and 2, and then I would write 2 equals, and then, because it's standard form, that's ax squared plus bx plus c. So you write a, and then you plug in your first x value, which is 0, and then you write the little squared, plus b, and then you write your x again, which is 0 again, and then you write c, and then you don't write anything here because there's no x value that goes with that. And then for the second one, you're going to write a, and then you plug in the x value, squared, and then b, and you plug in the x value, but it's not squared, and then you write plus c. And then for the last one, you're going to write a, and then plug in 1 squared, plus b, plug in 1, plus c. Okay, and now you have all 3 of your equations. So then you want to put this into a matrix C because you're trying to figure out the quadratic equation of these 3 points. So you draw your little matrix C edge, and then so you have 0 squared is 0 times a is just, that's 0, and then b times 0 is just 0, and then you have c, and that's 1c because there's only 1 of it, obviously, and so then you have 1 in this position. And then for this one, 2 squared is 4, so you write 4 in this position, and then 2, it's on its own, so it's just 2, and then c obviously just has the 1, so it's also 1, and then I'm going to draw my little other side. And then for this one, 1 squared is just 1, b, that's just 1 because there's no squared, and then c is just 1c, so it's 1 again. Then, in all matrices equations, I guess you could call it, you draw your little a times b times c, and then equals your y values, which are 5, 1, and 2. So you match up the 5 with this row, match up the 1 with the other row, and you match up the 2 with the third row. Okay, so then you have, this is matrix C, a times x, your variables, equals matrix B. So then you have x equals a, or the inverse of a, which is a to the negative 1, times matrix B. You want to get out your graphing calculator. So I already have these matrices entered into my calculator, but so what you're going to do to enter them is you're going to go second and x to the negative 1, because it says matrix right there. And then, so you have names, math, and edit. You want to scroll over to edit, go to matrix A, and go ahead and click enter. And then this one is a 3 by 3 matrix. So you want to matrix. So 3 by 3. And then you just want to enter it as you see it on the page. And then you want to go second and quit, mode, but that's quit. And then go back to second and x to the negative 1, and scroll over to edit, and then go down to matrix B and click enter. And then this one is a 3 by 1. So then you want to do 3 by 1, and then you want to enter the 5, the 1, and the 2. So then you want to hit second and mode again, and then second and x to the negative 1. And then you want to stay on names, and you want to click enter because you're like highlighted on matrix A. Click enter, and then you want to click to the negative 1 because that's going to be the inverse of A, times second and x to the negative 1 of matrix C. Scroll down, click enter of matrix B, and then you click enter again, and you get your A, your B, and your C values. So with this, I like to write it kind of like down here. So my C value, my A, B, and C ended up being 1, -4, and 5. And like what we wrote up here, A, B, C, this is A, this is B, and this is C. So when you write out your equation, you are going to write y equals, and I like to write 1, even though you could just say x. I like to write 1 because I think it just helps me. 1x squared minus 4x plus 5, because that's your ax squared, minus, because it's negative, bx squared plus your c, which is 5. So this is your final answer to this problem. All right. Okay, so our second problem is when they give you x-intercepts and a point. So you're going to have to put it into intercept form. So you want to just go ahead and plug these x-intercepts into intercept form. So you want to do y equals a times x. So you have 1, but remember the 1 is a liar, and so it's going to be opposite of what you think it's going to be. So because it's positive here, that means it's going to be negative down here. And then parentheses again. And then again, this 4 is positive, but it's a liar, so it's going to be -4. And then you have this point right here. You have x and y. So to be able to solve for this a value right here, you want to plug in your x value and your y value. So you want to plug in 2 equals a, because you don't know that a yet. You're trying to figure that out, sorry. And then your 3 minus 1 and your 3 minus 4. Oh, that got crooked. Oopsie. And then you have 2 equals a. 3 minus 1 is 2. And 3 minus 4 is -1. So 2 times -1 is -2. So then you have 2 equals -2a. So then you want to divide by -2 to find your a, to like isolate it. And you have -1 equals a. So now you found your a value. Good for you. Okay. Then you can plug it all back in. Well, not all of it. You're going to disregard this point. Then you can plug your a value into your equation and get your final answer. So you have y equals -1, which is your a, times x minus 1 and x minus 4. And this is your final answer. There you go. Okay, so this last example is when you have a vertex and a point, and they want you to put it in vertex form. Or like you're going to put it in vertex form. So you want to start out by putting your vertex, your h and your k into vertex form. So you want to do y equals a, which is what you're trying to find, and then x minus, and I'm doing minus because this h is a liar. So even though it's +3 up here, it's a liar, and it's actually -3 in the equation. So -3, and then you have squared. And then this isn't a liar, so I can just write -2. So then, after that, you want to plug in your x and your y value, because you're trying to find this a right here. So now you have 0 equals a, because you don't know this yet, you're trying to find it. And then you have parentheses 5 minus 3 squared minus 2. Okay, and then you add your 2 to both sides, and this cancels out, and this is just 2 equals a, and then 5 minus 3 is 2 squared. Then you have 2 equals, and then 2 squared is 4, so now you have 4a. And then you want to divide by 4 to isolate your a. And 2/4 simplifies to 1/2, which is your a. So again, good for you. You found your a. And then you just want to plug it back into your vertex form equation. So you have y equals 1/2, which is your a, times x minus 3 squared, and then minus 2. And this is your answer. All right.